Welcome back to Stoic Kingdom. I'm Morgan. Have you ever been lost in a never-ending debate about unfairness at work, or lost in small talk that only left you frustrated and tired? In contrast to moments of quiet and peace, these conversations only make our lives more stressful and out of control. Imagine a day when you no longer have to deal with uncontrollable anger or constant feelings of frustration. Instead, you feel calm and confident to face all challenges. That is the life that Stoicism promises. But to get there, we need to stay away from negative topics and instead focus on self-improvement and living meaningfully. And today we will discover the secret to living a peaceful life according to the philosophy of Stoicism by not discussing these 7 controversial topics. Have you ever wondered why we are so easily drawn into useless conversations about injustice or worries about the future? These topics not only waste energy, but also obscure positive values in life. Challenge yourself to stop discussing these things and instead share stories of tolerance, humility, and gratitude. Join Morgan to discuss how controlling our emotions and avoiding negative conversations can help us live more fulfilling and happier lives. Do you think giving up these conversations will help you live a better life? In this video, we will learn about 7 topics that you should avoid discussing to maintain a peaceful and stoic life. Morgan believes that, by making these small changes in the way we communicate every day, we can make a big difference in our lives. Let's explore and change together to live a peaceful and meaningful life. Don't forget to leave a comment. I'm ready. And join Morgan on the journey to control your emotions, focus on the things we can control, and live a more meaningful life. And I'm sure you won't regret applying these principles to your daily life. Do you know why famous actors like Hugh Jackman, Keanu Reeves, or Emma Watson always keep a calm and smiling face, regardless of the terrible pressures they face from life and work? Their secret is not a miracle or excellent acting skills, but an understanding and practice of Stoic philosophy. And one of the most valuable lessons from this philosophy is to avoid resentment and hatred. Coming to number 1, anger and hatred. Have you ever experienced the feeling of being so angry that you couldn't control your words and actions? That feeling is like a fire burning our soul, causing us to lose reason and calm. The famous Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Wrath is a fire that burns all it touches." And yes, resentment not only hurts others, but also destroys us. Morgan wants to share with you that every time we discuss anger and hatred, we are opening the door for negative emotions to flood into our lives. This not only affects our mood, but also weakens relationships with those around us. In everyday life, when encountering situations of injustice or conflict, instead of letting yourself wallow in anger, try looking at things from a different perspective, looking for understanding and tolerance. Did you know that when we control our anger, we will feel true freedom in our souls? Instead of letting anger control you, learn to control it and turn it into motivation for self-development. A question for you. How do you usually deal with outrage? Please share with Morgan in the comments below. I'd love to hear your experiences and stories. Stoic philosophy teaches us that life is not always perfect, but how we face challenges shapes us. Morgan believes that when we focus on controlling our emotions and developing tolerance, we will find true peace and happiness. After learning about anger and hatred together, we realized that these negative emotions not only hurt others, but also burn our own souls. But did you know that anger and hatred often stem from feelings of injustice and resentment? When we feel we are being treated unfairly, resentment easily arises, turning into a fire of indignation. Imagine one day you are treated unfairly at work, not being recognized for your efforts. The feeling of resentment rises, causing you to immerse yourself in negative thoughts and affect your work efficiency and even the relationships around you. Morgan wants you to understand that discussing injustice and resentment not only aggravates negative emotions, but also pulls us away from true peace and happiness. Stoic philosophy teaches us that, instead of letting resentment take over our minds, we should learn to accept and focus on the things we can control. Number 2. Injustice and resentment. Imagine you are working hard for months, dedicating yourself to the company. On evaluation day, not only will you not be rewarded, but you will also be unfairly criticized. The feeling of resentment rises, making you want to give up and lose motivation. But did you know? It is at times like these that we need to remember the words of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we react. Morgan wants to share that injustice is an inevitable part of life. Instead of letting feelings of resentment and dissatisfaction take over our minds, we should learn to accept and overcome them. This does not mean that we ignore all injustice, but that we choose to respond consciously and wisely. Ask yourself, how can I turn this feeling of resentment into motivation for personal growth? Morgan believes that when we change the way we perceive injustice, we will find the inner strength to overcome every challenge. One story Morgan wants to share is his own. I once faced a big injustice at work. Instead of blaming and getting angry, I decided to reconsider the problem and ask myself what I need to do to improve the situation and develop myself. As a result, I not only overcame difficulties, but also became much more mature. Have you ever experienced feelings of injustice and resentment? What did you do to overcome it? Please share your story with Morgan. I'd love to hear your experiences and learn from you. Remember that Stoic philosophy teaches us that life is never absolutely fair, but how we face and react will determine whether our lives are meaningful and happy or not. Morgan hopes that, through this video, you will find inspiration to look at things from a different perspective, learn to forgive, and find peace in your soul. After learning about injustice and resentment together, we realize that accepting and focusing on the things we can control is the key to keeping peace of mind. But have you noticed that from feelings of injustice and resentment, we easily fall into a state of disappointment and regret about the past? When we feel unfair, we often look back and regret lost opportunities, things that we cannot change. In the next section, we will explore how to deal with disappointment and regret, and thereby find peace and happiness in the present. Have you ever felt disappointed and regretful about something in the past? Number 3. Disappointment and regret. According to statistics, More than 80% of us regularly experience feelings of disappointment and regret about past decisions and events. These are not just dry numbers, but emotional stories and valuable lessons in life. Let Morgan tell you a personal story. One time, I missed a big opportunity at work because of a wrong decision. At first, disappointment and regret filled my heart, making it impossible to focus on the things at hand. But then, I realized that dwelling on the past only makes me lose the opportunity to improve and progress. The famous Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "No one can go back and make a new beginning, but anyone can start now and make a new ending." Feelings of disappointment and regret are an inevitable part of life. We are disappointed by what we did not achieve, regretful by the opportunities that were lost. But Morgan wants you to understand that these emotions are also opportunities for us to learn and grow. Instead of looking back and blaming ourselves, let's focus on what we can do to change the future. When you face disappointment, ask yourself, what does this teach me? How can I use this experience to become stronger? We cannot change what happened, but we can control how we react and learn from them. Morgan wants you to try a little exercise. Think of something you are disappointed or regretful about. Write down your feelings and thoughts about it on paper. Then, write down the lessons you learned and the specific actions you can take to improve the situation. Don't forget to share your story with Morgan. I look forward to hearing it and learning from those experiences with you. Stoic philosophy teaches us that life is a journey of constant learning. Every disappointment and regret is a valuable lesson, helping us grow and become stronger. If you find this lesson useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video with your friends. Let Morgan join you on the path to finding peace and happiness, and together change your life for the better. Let's begin your journey to learn the next valuable lessons of Stoic philosophy. We've just explored how to overcome disappointment and regret. Have you noticed that these emotions often make us worry about the future? When we regret the past, it's easy to fall into a state of fear and anxiety about what's to come. Questions like, will I fail again? Or, what will the future look like if I don't do it right? Begins to haunt my mind. In the next part, we will learn how to face fear and anxiety about the future, thereby living a more peaceful and fulfilling life. Have you ever worried about what's coming next? Number 4. Fear and anxiety about the future. Have you ever wondered why billionaire Elon Musk can take risks with giant projects like SpaceX and Tesla, while many of us worry about small, everyday decisions? The secret lies in how we deal with our fears and worries about the future. Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It is not things that make us afraid, but how we perceive them. Life always contains uncertainties, and the future is something that no one can predict. What matters, however, is how we deal with those fears and anxieties." Imagine you're facing a great opportunity in your career, but fear of failure and anxiety about the future make you hesitate. Morgan wants to share that. Instead of letting these emotions control us, we need to learn to accept uncertainty and focus on the things we can control. Anxiety about the future often comes from fear of the unknown, but it is in that uncertainty that we can find strength and resilience. When Morgan started a new project, Worries about the future kept me awake many nights. But instead of letting those worries take over, I chose to focus on the present, do the best I can, and accept that not everything is within my control. As a result, I not only completed the project excellently, but also learned how to stay calm and more confident in similar situations. Have you ever felt worried about the future and how to overcome it? Please share your story with Morgan. I look forward to hearing your experiences and learning together. Stoic philosophy teaches us that instead of fearing the unknown, learn to live in the present and accept uncertainty. This not only helps us feel more peaceful, but also opens up many new opportunities in life. So, we learn together about how to overcome fear and anxiety about the future. We realized that uncertainty is not always scary, but also an opportunity to grow. But did you know that worries about the future often lead us to easily judge and criticize others? When we feel insecure about ourselves, we tend to criticize to hide that fear. Imagine you are worried about an important decision. Pressure makes you sensitive to all opinions around you and easily criticize those who disagree with you. Morgan wants you to understand that instead of letting worries turn into criticism, learn to understand and be tolerant. In the next section, we will explore how to overcome criticism and thereby live a more tolerant and peaceful life. Have you ever felt like you were being too harsh on others because of your own worries? Number 5. Criticism and judgment. Famous athletes like LeBron James or Serena Williams always maintain a strong spirit in the face of all criticism. They don't let criticism and judgment dampen their enthusiasm and passion. So, what's their secret? Join Morgan to explore how we can overcome criticism and condemnation to live a more tolerant and peaceful life. Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "No one can hurt you unless you let them." His words remind us that criticism and criticism from others can only affect us if we allow it. But why are we so easily influenced by criticism? This often comes from fear and anxiety about yourself, as we discussed in the previous topic. Imagine you are facing an important decision and everyone around you has opposing opinions. Worrying about whether you're doing the right thing makes you sensitive to criticism. You easily criticize others to hide your insecurities. Morgan wants you to understand that instead of letting these worries turn into criticism, learn to understand and be tolerant. Morgan once felt deeply hurt by criticism from colleagues. At first, I reacted by criticizing back. But then I realized that this only added to the tension and did not solve the problem. Instead, I choose to listen and learn their opinions. This not only helps me improve my work, but also build better relationships with colleagues. When we criticize others, we often don't realize that we are also pushing ourselves into a negative spiral. Stoic philosophy advises us to look at things from a perspective of understanding and tolerance. Don't let criticism diminish your worth. Instead, focus on improving yourself and living true to your values. Have you ever felt like you were being too harsh on others because of your own worries? Morgan looks forward to hearing your experiences and learning together. When we discover how to overcome criticism, we realize that understanding and tolerance are the keys to building good relationships and keeping peace of mind. But did you know that from easily criticizing others, we can fall into the trap of arrogance and complacency. When we underestimate others, we can unintentionally elevate ourselves, become arrogant, and lose humility. Pride and complacency are the enemies of progress and peace. In the next section, we will explore how to identify and overcome arrogance and complacency, and thereby live a more humble and fulfilled life. Have you ever felt yourself becoming arrogant because of your successes? Number 6. Arrogance and complacency. Morgan wants to share a story that left a deep impression on his life. A close friend of mine, a successful businessman, once shared that arrogance and complacency caused him to lose many valuable opportunities. When he achieved initial success, he became arrogant, did not listen to other people's opinions, and was complacent with what he had achieved. As a result, he not only lost many valuable relationships, but also stagnated in his career. Dear friends, arrogance and complacency are hidden but extremely dangerous enemies in life. Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "What we think we know is the greatest enemy of learning." Pride causes us to lose humility, while complacency causes us to stop growing. Imagine you just completed a big project and received lots of compliments. You start to believe that you don't need to learn anymore, and that you've reached your peak. It is in this moment that arrogance and complacency begin to take over. Morgan wants to remind you that success is not a final destination, but a continuous journey. Arrogance and complacency not only hurt surrounding relationships, but also hinder personal growth. When we believe we know it all, we stop being open to new lessons, stop listening, and stop improving. Morgan has seen many people, including himself, lose opportunities simply because of arrogance and complacency. One way to overcome arrogance and complacency is to maintain a spirit of learning and humility. See every day as an opportunity to learn, improve, and grow. Ask yourself, what new thing did I learn today? How can I improve and get better? When we maintain a spirit of continuous learning, we will never be overwhelmed by arrogance and complacency. Have you ever felt yourself becoming arrogant or complacent because of the successes you have achieved? It's wonderful that we've gone through most of this journey together. Having discussed arrogance and complacency, we understand that maintaining a spirit of learning and humility is the key to personal growth. However, one thing that arrogance and complacency can easily lead to is a focus on trivial matters and meaningless gossip. Think about the times you found yourself drawn into conversations that didn't add any value, just because you wanted to prove yourself or feel superior to others. Morgan wants you to understand that when we let gossip take over, we not only waste time but also miss the opportunity to truly connect and learn from each other. In the final section, we'll explore how to stay away from gossip and focus on meaningful conversations, which will help us live richer and more meaningful lives. Have you ever found yourself caught up in meaningless stories? Coming to the final number, gossip and trivial matters. Seemingly harmless gossip and rumors can have a profound impact on our lives. Imagine one day you walk into your office and hear your colleagues talking about an unrelated story. Are you participating? Your answer may surprise you. Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth to listen more and speak less." When we spend too much time on small talk and unimportant matters, we not only waste precious time, but also devalue truly meaningful conversations. Morgan wants to share that staying away from meaningless gossip is an important step to living a more peaceful and meaningful life. We often get caught up in gossip because they provide a temporary feeling of connection with those around us. But think about it. Does this really bring value to your life? When you engage in conversations that don't add value, you not only waste time, but you also lose opportunities to develop yourself and build better relationships. Morgan once fell into this trap. I once got involved in a gossip about a mutual friend. At first, this made me feel like I was part of the group, but then I realized that I was losing respect and credibility. From there, I decided to focus on conversations that bring value and help me learn and grow instead of meaningless gossip. Make time for the things that really matter. Ask yourself, does this story bring value to me or others? What can I learn from this conversation? When we focus on positive and meaningful things, we will find true peace and happiness. Have you ever felt caught up in gossip and realized that it doesn't add any value to your life? If you find this lesson useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video with your friends. Let Morgan join you on the path to finding peace and happiness, and together change your life for the better. Let's begin your journey to learn the next valuable lessons of Stoic philosophy. Finally, we have come to the end of our journey together to explore topics that should not be discussed in order to live a Stoic life. From anger and hatred, injustice and resentment, disappointment and regret, worry about the future, criticism and criticism, arrogance and complacency, to gossip and gossip, we have come together. Each other learn and deeply understand the valuable lessons of Stoic philosophy. Morgan feels truly grateful that you have accompanied me and shared my emotions and stories throughout this journey. Your interest and contributions not only enrich the discussion, but also help us connect and learn from each other. Morgan hopes that the lessons from Stoic philosophy have brought you more value and inspiration to live a more peaceful and happier life. Remember, life is not just about what we avoid, but also what we choose to focus on and nurture. Always maintain the spirit of learning, tolerance and humility in all your actions and thoughts. Morgan believes that when we live by these values, we will find true peace and happiness. Can you share more of your thoughts about this journey? Please leave a comment. Finish if you have discovered these 7 things. Morgan looks forward to hearing and continuing to explore other valuable lessons with you. If you find these shares useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video with your friends. Thank you for always supporting and accompanying Morgan. Let Morgan join you on the path to finding peace and happiness, and together change your life for the better. See you in the next videos, where we will continue to explore other meaningful life lessons and philosophies. Wishing you always peace and happiness.